So I'm going to make the case to you why now is the time you should be paying attention to the XDC network. And if you're new to XDC, well, your timing could not have been better. You see, they're finna introduce subnet architecture to the market. And if you're new to this space, when a network introduces a layer 2 type architecture to its network, it brings in an enormous amount of value. And longtime XDC holders, we've been waiting for this moment. It's been talked about for a number of years, but I can assure you that what they have planned now is going to give us exactly what we're looking for, especially when it comes to price. So our focus for this episode will be subnets. We can call it Subnet Sunday. And I'm going to show you how other existing subnets and similar architectures to what XDC is looking to implement has brought enormous value to the corresponding chain that uses it the best. There's not that many, and that's what makes this even more impactful. So before we dive into this, let me introduce myself. There's a lot of new faces to the space. I'm Wade. You're listening to another edition of the DHN Crypto Podcast. I've been in the space since 2019 and I've researched over 1,000 digital assets. And I assure you, the only reason I show up in front of this camera is to share all this knowledge with you, because it ain't being talked about. All I ask in return, you hit that like button. Not for me though. Let's do it for crypto. And in this case, we got to drop one down for XDC. As you can see here, XDC is a technology that allows you to create secure, scalable, and decentralized networks within the XDC ecosystem. It enables various use cases, including creating private subnets, deploying decentralized applications, and so much more. To simplify all of this, basically what we're getting at here is now XDC is in the layer 2 game. There will be entire separate blockchains. They can be public or private, permissioned or permissionless, that will run on top of the XDC network. So I hope you can begin to understand the enormity of value that could potentially make its way to this chain. And we're going to take it a step further because the gentleman, Juan Weiss, who initially published this release here that gave us the information, well, he was featured on the XDC Network's podcast. And folks, I really want you to pay attention to this. These crypto companies are fully aware of the power of the second largest search engine on the planet. They're starting to leverage it, and they're starting to do it a lot more than I've seen in recent years. Let me know if you guys are starting to notice this trend, but XDC seems to be doing it a lot better than others. But we have an episode here. Now, I would definitely urge you to check out this whole thing because they give us a breakdown of the 2.0 upgrade, the subnet architecture, which will be our focus, particularly on this clip. They also get into who's already planning to use the subnet architecture. Don't worry, we'll touch on that too, but I really want us to digest this in pieces because there are other elements that come along with this subnet architecture that'll put XDC on the tiers that we've always thought it should have been on next to XRP and Stellar from a technical level. So let's jump to about 302 here. And we're going to take a listen to how he describes what the benefits will be. Actually, we'll jump back a few seconds.
Be able to penalize the malicious wallet. Another important feature of XDC 2.0 is on the block finality. So finality just means how long it takes for a block to be confirmed and forever recorded onto the blockchain. In XDC 2.0, the block finality is 3 blocks. And the XDC block time is 2 seconds, which means the finality will be 6 seconds. So in comparison to Ethereum, the block time is 12 seconds and the finality is more than a minute. So you can see the fast block time of XDC really helps with the fast finality, and it's actually very important to a use case of subnet, and we'll come back to that.
All right. Thank you so much.
Oh, no worry. We're going to handle that right now. But I want you to notice the 6-second finality. It made me search for this information here. Fastest blockchains by transactions per second. And you'll notice I want to sort it by descending. So with it set right here, what we're looking at are the slowest blockchains according to the data that they have. And you can see Bitcoin block time about 8 minutes, 2 seconds. I would explain why it takes 30 minutes, 45 minutes to move Bitcoin around, right? But if you keep scrolling down here, he just told us that XDC, with this 2.0 upgrade, will have a block time of around 6 seconds. Finality of about 6 seconds. That would put it on the same tier as Moonbeam, as a Polkadot. You can see Stellar there, 5.92. Chronos, 5.83. WanChain, IOTX, Celo. It's unfortunate how Coinbase is doing Celo. We won't talk about it. But that's the range that XDC will now fall under this 2.0 upgrade. So what I want you to take away from this is think of the infrastructures, the networks that are built on Polkadot, Stellar, and Chronos, that being able to process block times a lot faster allows you to build out a network of more diverse applications. This is something that I am beginning to see, especially in your more mature chains. You know, the ones that the DJs like to call the dinosaurs. I don't get that. I've always found it weird that people in this space tend to knock the older chains when, in my perspective, you should want to look for the more experienced companies, especially if they've been around 10, 12, 13 years, already, when so many chains have dropped. I digress, though. But something else that will be mentioned in this video, let me see where I have it written down at, but I'll just leave a link to that episode because I have a lot to share with you and I want to keep this, time conscious. But they also brought up the fact that with this 2.0 upgrade, XDC will also become Byzantine fault tolerant. Now I know that's a high level term, but what it simply means is that now Bitcoin has the same level of security and protection as a Hedera, as Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of the top tier chains. That's something that XDC didn't have before, and that may be the reason why it was adopted a lot slower than other chains. It could also explain why XDC hasn't been listed on as many exchanges as it should be. I often see people in the comments when XDC has a big announcement or a big run up, and us researchers, we hit the airwaves and let y'all know about it. People are always asking, where the heck do I even pick up this coin? Well, that's one of the main reasons I promote Uphold on this channel, because it's the only place to get the assets that we are into. Those ones that are tied to the more nuanced elements of the new financial system. There are a lot of them are on Uphold. But the reason why you don't see an XDC on Coinbase officially or Binance is it could be due to the lack of proper security features. So that's something to think about. Something else to think about is alongside these subnets, alongside the subnet architecture, will be gasless subnets. And what I'm about to read to you will blow your mind. The payment gateway serves as a bridge between the blockchain ecosystem and traditional financial systems. In a gasless subnet, it allows users to interact with the blockchain without holding or using cryptocurrency for gas fees. Reminds me so much of something Visa said that they were going to do about 2.5 years ago, but let's continue. Users can pay fees in fiat currencies like US dollar, the euro, instead of using XDC tokens or other cryptocurrencies. The payment gateway converts these fiat fees into operational costs for the network, ensuring that validators, master nodes, and relayers are compensated. The payment gateway enables the network to attract non-crypto users by removing the barrier of needing to understand or use cryptocurrency. Do you understand how massive that is? It's a little bit of a holy grail, something that us researchers have been looking for within the adoption model of crypto, the ability to remove that crypto barrier. Because let's just be honest here, a lot of people are weary of the word crypto. That's why I'm happy to see the incorporation of terms like blockchain and digital assets in the mainstream media. They're not using the word crypto as much. It's a very good thing here to see, because there is a significant difference. But being able to remove that barrier increases your adoption rate tremendously, because they don't have to overcome that extra layer of, oh, is it gonna crash if I go to do a transaction with it? No, in this case, you ain't even got to worry about that. So this opens the door for institutional adoption in a massive way, like to the point I made about Visa's experiments a couple years ago, which they'll come back up in this discussion as well. They were looking for a way to do this on Ethereum. Now XDC can do it itself. So with a gasless subnet environment where the gas fees can be paid in fiat, a company can just set up on the XDC network, including a masternode, which in a second, I don't want to mix my facts up here, but let me continue the first point. An institution could set up on the XDC network, and they can set up a store of cash that is strictly used to pay for fees, gas fees. Once that, I believe that setup would be a lot easier to manage than what we have seen in the past. That's what I'm getting at here. To the point of the masternode operation, in this white paper, the Gasless subnet white paper, which you can find on the XDC's website, which was this page here, they mentioned that this will also increase the rewards for masternode operators. Because when you operate a masternode on the XDC network, you get a certain amount of rewards. It's similar to Bitcoin, but not quite. Don't have time to truly get into the nuances. Those rewards are set to increase. That increased reward system should incentivize more people to become masternode owners. The more masternode owners that we have, the more decentralization that we have, the more robust and secure the network will be. And added to the fact that now XDC has that Byzantine fault tolerance, there's no breaking XDC. There isn't. It would literally require the same amount of financial power that it would take to overthrow Bitcoin. That's what I'm getting at here. So, with the inclusion of the added security and the increased speeds, guys, more decentralization, more nodes, more structure, you get more development, and then you get a higher potential for that unicorn application that XDC ultimately becomes known for. So I like the setup here, and I really wanted you guys to understand just how good of a move this is. Now, of course, we're dealing with potential here. They obviously have to follow through. But XDC's track record, once you get to looking into them, you'll be impressed. That's all I'll say to that. Because there's a little bit more to this, guys. Let's jump over here. Oh, yeah. Let me give a shout out to Coin Club Quincy Jones, one of the developers for the XDC network as well. He dropped a little Easter egg in here that we're going to follow at the end of this. Amazon subnet deployment, Amazon Web Services. So this isn't a direct relationship between Amazon and XDC. What I want you to understand is that if an Amazon Web Services customer or developer wants to use this on Amazon Web Services cloud infrastructure, if I'm not mistaken, then they have that ability. That's a massive advantage there, in my opinion. But we're going to jump back to this podcast episode. I have another piece here I want to share with you because they're going to get into who's already looking to make use of XDC's subnets.
2.0.
It's around 10, about 10 minutes.
So I think subnets are the best solution for them. So yes, with this subnet, can you tell us the use cases that you've done so far?
Yes, absolutely. We have many partners who are seriously considering using XDC subnet in production. So let me share a couple of examples. So one of them is Deutsche Telekom from Germany. They are using the subnet in their telecommunication use case. We have this carbon tracking project where they will use the subnet to record a private and individual carbon credit data, and then they will combine the numbers to only show the aggregate data on the XDC mainnet. Then we also have this Zanzibar National Blockchain Network. Zanzibar is a region of Tanzania, and they have a blockchain policy where all national ID cards and other certificates must be on the blockchain. They are choosing to build the entire blockchain infrastructure on the XDC subnet. And in the final vision of this project, it will not only be a single subnet, but a network of multiple subnets working interoperably.
Okay, so few things here. One, I need that cup, them stress balls over there, even that book by Atul Kakade, it appears to be. I need all of that on that table. Second, he mentioned how Dutch Telecom was getting ready to use one of these subnets. And I also like the bit at the end about the blockchain ID in Tanzania. You know I'm finna be digging into that one. That is right up our alley, guys. But to the point of Dutch Telecom. So I had to spin the block back to this article. We remember this article, guys. July, Dutch Telecom joins RWA Focus XDC as an infrastructure provider and digital asset push. So, already running nodes on multiple blockchain networks. Dutch Telecom has been in the space for a minute. That is no surprise. But when I reread this article, something stood out to me, and I have it here. The edition utilizes our enterprise-grade infrastructure to enable secure blockchain-based applications with a focus on the financial sector, said Dirk Roeder, head of Dutch Telecom MMS Web3 unit. Why is that important? Well, in this episode, there is another piece of the discussion that opens the door for this to be geared towards XDC subnets, to be geared towards top level or high frequency payment institutions or high frequency payment networks. And prior to this, XDC was already ISO compliant or compatible. We already know that. It also already had atomic settlement. So if it was fast on a atomic settlement on a private level, so if it was already as fast as lightning before the 2.0 upgrade, now you have that same level of speed and security on a public field. So we can only imagine what Dutch Telecom is looking to do. However, I do have a way to give you an idea. So we're going to bring up a couple of other projects. The first one is Polkadot, because Polkadot has a technology called parachains, which, without getting too deep into it, is essentially how they operate separate blockchains on top of their blockchains. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the process still involves an auction that includes the use of DOT tokens. People have felt certain ways about that in the past. But the point I want to highlight to you is just how big this blew up Polkadot's ecosystem in a very short amount of time. I haven't dug into Polkadot in a number of months, admittedly, but I do dabble here and there. Last thing I read about them was their incorporation of Energy Web and their decentralized operating system. So now it's a similar setup to where you have the private access through Energy Web's chain, and now you have a public-facing arm through the Energy Web X. So that's an interesting application. And if you go to parachains.info, you can truly fish around, and you may bump into a project that you're familiar with that you didn't even know was a parachain. That's another thing here too. It also ties in the discussion of the enormous amount of use from Ethereum layer 2s. Your favorite meme coin is probably a layer 2 on ETH, if not a layer 2 on Polygon. So I find this to be very interesting and a good thing for XDC, for the simple fact that not that many networks are taking this big of a step. Larger ecosystems that have been around for years are not even making this jump. When you see this type of move, it's an ambitious step that makes you want to watch them closely. Now, another example of this that I've brought up before is, of course, Avalanche. Avalanche has a little bit bigger of a reputation in comparison to Polkadot, as well as XDC, obviously. But if you read through their description of subnets, it sounds a lot similar to what XDC is offering. So I believe XDC, their intention is to definitely follow the blueprint of Polkadot and their parachains and Avalanche and their subnets. And if they do so, I keep trying to illustrate to you the expansion of these networks is insane. It's going to take a little bit to load here, but while it does, I want to call your attention to the possibilities. Gunzilla Games is launching off the grid on an Avalanche subnet. So this Web3 game launched recently, and it was pretty big. A lot of people covered the off the grid launch, and admittedly, I didn't even know I was connected to Avalanche. I didn't even know I was connected to Avalanche. I had to have somebody in the committee tell me like, hey, did you know that? I was like, I did not. I did not. So they launched this game on a subnet, and I haven't played it yet. But if you're in that side of the blockchain space, I know you know about off the grid. It's performing well. It's bringing a lot of positive attention to Avalanche, and it was built on a subnet. That shows you the potential. And then Avalanche took it a step further, I want to say a year or so, 2 years ago, by launching Evergreen, which are institutional focused subnets. So we're aiming straight for people like JP Morgan, which they talk about down here, as well as other large infrastructural use cases. Wise man, I'll call him that, forgive me. But the wise man stated that there's also a company looking to implement a carbon-related protocol on an XDC subnet. Again, it looks to me like XDC is following the Avalanche blueprint as well as the Polkadot blueprint. Now, I want to show you some numbers, as well as another player that entered the ecosystem in November that I think is going to make use of subnets as well. We have XDC's total value locked thanks to DeFi Llama sitting at $18 million. Now, last night when I put this episode together, it was actually at $17 million. So we've added $1 million overnight. That's always a good thing to see. Now, let me scroll down here. All right, get this thing. There it is. What we're going to pull up next, AVAX, Avalanche, because I want you to see. Total value locked. $1.5 billion. I guarantee you that's going to go up. When I looked at it last night, what was it? 1.4, 1.45? Not yet. Wait till everybody wakes up, right? But you can see the enormous distance here between Avalanche and XDC. Now, let me show you something slightly shocking about Polkadot. Total value locked, just under 60,000. But look at the stable coins. Polkadot has been doing a lot of things with USDC, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of Tether on there as well. But 89.2 million in stablecoin market cap. That shows how much stablecoin money is running through Polkadot. That's something else that XDC will definitely be able to take use of. And a few months ago, we were diving into stablecoin connections on the XDC network. You got the US Plus, you have Fathom, which they use in trade finance. Gets deep, guys. Well, let's take it even deeper. A couple weeks ago, stumbled upon this story here published in the Manila Times. I don't even know where this is written from, but I love the description here. So, XDC Network announces partnership with Plug and Play's innovation platform. What they're going to do is implement a payments program on the XDC network. But you may remember this name, Plug and Play, from a while back when they collaborated with Visa in order to grow the Canadian fintech ecosystem. Now, somebody in the comments, you guys were telling me XDC in Canada, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Is this what you were referring to? Because there are some interesting connections here. Let's jump back to the press release. I'm going to slide down here. We're going to talk about it. Okay. So, designed for real-world asset tokenizations. It has announced a partnership with Plug and Play's global open innovation platform to launch the XDC payments program. The program will identify and collaborate with the best payment-based Web3 solutions that can enrich the XDC network. So again, going back to the podcast episode where he said that this opens the door for payments on XDC, and going back to the Dutch Telecom press release where they plan on building, or this will allow for the support of blockchain-based financial applications. So XDC is getting ready to enter the payments space. Now, I do believe I have, let me see, not vendors. No, I have it bookmarked because I found this page after my first initial research. But you can see here, guys, their mission is to accelerate Web3 startups by building on the XDC network, invest in those startups, and drive growth to build the XDC network ecosystem. Focus areas will be cross-border payments, DeFi, infrastructure, and development tools, and access. So you're trying to play the stellar game too, huh? We'll see. Program timeline. This is very interesting. To the question of when we'll see some activity. Well, it appears that the latest we will find out will be April 29th, an expo in Dubai, where it appears that they will announce who these startups will be. So we'll have something to look forward to going into Q2, if I'm not mistaken. Historically, prices tend to dip around that time, so there'll be less attention on this. So we have to put a reminder here, put a bookmark here. So Visa, plug and play, XDC, and then you can look at some other partners and perks involved with plug and play's ecosystem. Again, I believe also in August, they did an accelerator with XDC as well. Now, when looking at this company, I didn't want to dig too deep. I didn't want to make any of the wrong assumptions. But if they're tied with a lot of these software companies in any shape, form, or fashion, because they have a vendor list that is just as wild, right? Then there could be some massive opportunities here. But I don't want to go out on a limb and say that XDC's network could be used in all of these companies. That's just crazy talk. But this is definitely something interesting to think about. And then we can't forget about XDC's previous relationships with trade finance that may want to make use of a subnet. What was that down here? Oh, Deutsche Bank. Oh, Standard Bank. AMB AMRO. We'll see how it folds out. But guys, I'm going to leave you with that, though. Happy Sunday to you. Hope you had a good holiday break. Listen, this crypto space is finna get out of hand. I don't think this bull run is over. So with that, you're going to need a very crucial tool that I should always keep pulled up here. I don't know why I'm not prepared. But DHN, 5 verticals of crypto. This will help you understand the crypto space. It took me years to put to collect this information. And I decided to put it into one document to share with you. It's absolutely free, and it'll give you the perspective you need to enter the crypto space. It'll also give you links to various crypto ecosystems. Some we cover, some we don't, but it'll give you an idea of how they operate, tools and resources to analytics websites, news websites, things like that, guys. I will be updating this for 2025. Expect that in the next few days. And honestly, yeah, hit that description section, download this starter kit, and always remember that if that money is digital, so is the hustle.